Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business is War podcast. We talk about everything on this show: success, failure, trial, and triumph. We do it all here. Today, our guest, Amir Barak, is an advocate for literacy. He's an actor. He's an author. He is a man that the city of New Orleans should give him his flowers, and today we're going to do just that. So I say to you today, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excellent.
Okay, how's your health?
My health is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I get up every morning, 4 a.m., get to the gym at 5, work out for an hour, do cardio, hit the steam room. I'm eating fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
I'm healthy, man.
So you really do take control of your body and what you do with it and how you treat it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm basically in control of. I'm in control of me, right? I mean, no one stops me from getting up in the morning. No one can stop me from going into the gym, whether it's cold or too hot. That's not an impediment. So I've been determined in my mind, man, that I am the captain of my ship. No one is coming to save me.
Well, listen, they call that accountability where I come from. And that discipline right there is why you have been able to transition from tough times to better times now. Sure. And I look forward to your future. So let's talk about where you started and how you got here. So listen, you, as a younger man, you got into a little bit of trouble.
Right.
And what would you say was the main reason for that?
I think the main reason for that was my inability to read.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I don't think poverty has anything to do with a person failing, right? Because if you look at people that are in China, people that are in India, right, who are in abject poverty, and yet they succeed. So I think it's our morals and our values. And what happens is when you can't read fluently or write orthographically correct, it weighs on your emotional and spiritual well-being. So I never thought highly of myself.
So was this a product of the school system, or was it just a product of something else, or maybe a combination of both?
No, well, the thing was, it was dyslexia, right? So back then, they wasn't diagnosing people with dyslexia. And so both my brother and sister read fluently. They went to school, they enjoyed school, they went on to college. But I just went undiagnosed, so it was my dyslexia.
Okay, so for people who don't know what dyslexia is, can you go ahead and give us a 1,000-yard definition of it?
All right, so dyslexia is when a person cannot read fluently, write orthographically correct. And what that means in a simpler term is that your phonological pathways, our brains are wiring systems, right? So just say hypothetically, one of your wires are crossed. One of your lights are blinking in this office, right? That means it needs to be rewired.
Gotcha.
And so it's a process. And so you go through getting remediation and you could get that wiring system back connecting on all cylinders. And so I never had that up until I was about, I think, 42 years old. I went to prison. We'll talk about that. I was 23, reading on a third grade level.
So listen, I mean, did you just give up on school because it just wasn't working for you, or did you just try to fight through it? I mean, tell me the educational, process for you, and when it just connected that it wasn't going to connect.
Right. So by the third grade, I was skipping school because then you have spelling tests, right? And so I was very ashamed. My mother was sort of derelict in her duty, and so my grandmother was the disciplinary. And she believed in education and God. She said that's the only way the Negro is going to get out of poverty.
Amen.
Was through education and God. And so she would beat your hands. She put your spelling words in your hand. And Dash and Rashawn caught on fluently. I mean, they were prepared. And I was beaten severely. I guess she thought I was being lazy, or I don't know what she thought at that time. But I just couldn't grasp that. So by third grade, on Fridays, I would veer off and sleep in the project hallways. I knew that school wasn't for me. I knew early on that I had to find other alternatives opposed to school.
I think that's tough because I grew up with that same kind of discipline.
Oh, really?
I grew up in a household where we came from the Mississippi roots and we needed the discipline. And you know what? It worked 50% of the time. I mean, that's not bad average. That's not a bad average. No. So if my parents would have been able to help me, win in education early on and set those building blocks, then I would have been able to go further in school as well. Yeah. Look at the amount of investment that we both did not get an opportunity to have. So you knew early on that school wasn't for you?
I would say by the sixth grade, I knew I was going to be a drug dealer. I knew I had made it up in my mind that I was going to be a drug dealer.
Because listen, let's be honest. Those are the options when we are coming from as you say, poverty.
Absolutely. I mean, if you take a white kid in Omaha, Nebraska, right, and he's dyslexic, that kid is going to more likely veer off into fixing on trucks, herding cattle, because the mind is thinking of ways. The dyslexic brain is thinking of other ways to make money
to survive.
To survive, and so whatever that kid is around, he or she is going to gravitate towards that. Unfortunately, I was in the projects where I saw a lot of drugs, people making money, flashy cars, and okay, this is my way out.
Man, that's heartbreaking because we're talking about a tender age child that could have been pushed in another direction. Absolutely. You know, you could have gone a different way, meaning you could have attached yourself to the engineering side of learning and maybe found your way with, mechanical. You could have put, oh my God, I love this car. I love the sound it makes. I love the smell of a combustible engine. Let me learn this with my dyslexic brain, which is very possible.
Right.
But because we put a Ford motor in a Chevy truck every day in this educational system, meaning that we take kids and we force them through these curriculums that don't even work.
Yeah, well, what's happening right now, this is going on across America. We're dealing with a literacy crisis, right? And what that means is that there's something that's called whole language. And what that is, the way a kid learns to read is through phonics, right? And having phonemic awareness skills. Phonics is k-at, right?
Okay.
And so what they're doing now is they're putting a cat up with the word cat beside it and telling the kid, this is the word cat, this is the word horse, opposed to decoding that word, decoding the language, manipulating it. The phonemic awareness is when you're able to decode and manipulate the sounds of words. And so you learn that in a great school system. So our school system have not antiquated curriculums, because if it was antiquated, we'll be learning. It's a new system.
It's almost broken, isn't it?
It is. Listen, politics has gotten involved, and people are saying, listen, I want this curriculum. I want the whole language curriculum. In other words, I want to do away with the foundational ways, the antiquated ways, and I want to introduce a new system called whole language. And so kids are not learning to read properly.
You know what? That's kind of heartbreaking because, if I had one thing that we should be able to fix right now, it's the way that we educate our youth.
Yeah.
Because they ultimately are going to take the baton from the previous generations. Even though the old folks are holding on to the power like you can't imagine, I just can't imagine why, since the Industrial Revolution, why we haven't fixed education.
Because here's why. There is so much money in illiteracy. There is so much money in the penal system, right? I was incarcerated for 4 years. I did 4 years worth of labor. When I left that penitentiary, they paid me $82. So it's like in slavery, you had slaves and then the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Then you came up with something that was called the Black Codes. And what that was is once the slaves were free, the Black Codes came in and they said, okay, if you're found late on the street at night as a slave, we lock you up. If you look at a white woman, we lock you up. If you're drunk in public, we lock you up. Whatever, they found all kind of means to lock you up. Once they got you back locked up, they passed another law, was called convict leasing. And so all these inmates now who were former slaves who knew how to work the fields, they're back incarcerated. Now I can rent you out to Mr. Johnny down the street and I can make money off of you. So that's the same thing that is being done right now. Right now, 15% of kitchen appliances are made in prison. Jeans, underwear, lady lingerie, cups, hats, all kind of stuff is made in prison. Free labor.
You know what? This is the same medical debate. People say all the time that they can solve medical problems, but what's the financial benefit of doing that?
Yeah.
And so you're telling me now the same thing as it applies. And so, man, you can't tell me capitalism just drives this country to be able to do damaging work to its people.
Oh yeah.
And that's a heartbreaking thing because I still want to be naive and believe that the country is for the people and by the people, and that we are a part of getting better every generation, et cetera. But what you just said to me in 2026 is, man, they got old things that are still doing new things.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, don't delude yourself into believing that. No, it's the American way. I mean, this is capitalism, man. I mean, America is the great Satan. Even though we sell the glitz and glam, at the belly, at the foundation of that is wickedness.
I hate to hear that. Now, the question is, when did you get, incarcerated? What was the process for that? I mean, like, you're a young man, you get a judgment, and now you got to go do some time for a drug crime, you say?
Yeah. Well, my first arrest came when I was 14 years old. That was for manslaughter. I did time in a juvenile detention center called Monroe, Louisiana. It was I forgot the name of the prison. It was in Monroe. It was a LTI, LTI Monroe. Got out. I still couldn't read, and I just got back into the drug game. And at 19, I was caught with a half a key of coke, and I was facing 60 years.
6-0.
6-0. Because I was a multiple offender, right? I got busted so many times with drugs, so it makes you a multiple offender. Here in New Orleans, we're under the Polianic law, so they can multi-bail you, double, quadruple bail you. They can just throw you away, right? I mean, this is where slavery was like, it was cemented here, right?
Yeah.
And so that mindset is still here. Angola, if you know about Angola.
Oh yeah,
so
we do.
I was placed back in the prison. And fortunately, I was given a 4-year sentence because I went to trial. A jury came back and found me guilty. A woman that my mother knew was in the jurors, and she had mercy on me, she said. And she pleaded with the jurors to give me another opportunity at life, and I ran with it.
I know that's right. So, okay, all right. So you got the 4-year sentence. What happened, and what was the learning curve inside of the institution?
Oh, interesting. I knew the moment I hit the cell, when I was facing that kind of time, that it was serious. And so there was a white guy that was across from me in the cell. I think his name was John, and John was an art thief at the time. He had stolen like $10 million worth of art. Very intelligent guy. Art.
Like paint?
Paint.
Okay.
Right? So he was an art thief, right? And $10 million worth of art. And so he was in the cell next to me, and he got everything he wanted in jail. And I'm like, man, this white boy is smart as hell, right? He spoke very well.
Yes.
The warden would come in. Good morning, warden. How are you? Not how you doing, dog. What's up, dog?
How are you?
How are you? And I'm like, wow, man. I said, John, man, how you get everything you want? He said, Amir, here's the words that he used. He said, you people can't speak well.
Wow.
And so I started mimicking him. Really? Yeah, I just started mimicking. Everything he would say, I would mimic it. Like, good morning, how are you? Hey, guys. This like, and we call it trying to speak like a white boy, but you're speaking in the correct vernacular. Right? It's not speaking white, it's speaking English, right? We're from America.
So
right?
Going back to one of my points, and I'm going to let you get back on that, exposure and opportunity.
Yeah.
I never saw me as a young man. I never saw a black man like me drive, drink, eat, sleep, smell, date, work out and live a life worth truly living, running a business. I never saw me until I became me.
Yeah.
And I want every young man to see me and know that it is possible.
Absolutely.
And that you don't have to look over your shoulder. And Jay-Z told people that he was living proof that crime do pay. And I'm here to tell you right, exactly, culture. I'm here to tell you right now, I can drive my money, eat my money, and live and dress and drink my money because I make it the right way. I even give the man his just due.
Yes, taxes. Huh?
Okay, yeah, I pay the taxes. Okay, all right. So you got John in prison. You're imitating him because you see something that you're attracted to in him.
Right. Finally, I see now that my self-imposed limitations and distorted thinking have me in prison. Now I have to shift to another level. I have to pivot, right? And I'm like, okay, it was my inability to read and write that got me into prison. Now I have to learn to read and write to get out of prison. And I'm not talking about just getting out of a physical prison. I'm talking about the mental incarceration. So I had to extricate myself mentally.
How do you learn how to read by yourself?
Just writing thousands of words down. Like I started off with words like that, though, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I just took my time. I didn't fritter my time away in prison. I just wrote thousands of words down. And I just had this insatiable appetite to want to learn to read and to want to change and to want to be somebody, because John was a living proof that you can that language was a new currency.
Mm-hmm.
It was currency. When you speak well, people open doors for you.
Yes,
if
they
you
do.
can't speak well, doors are going to be shut in your face.
So, what was the psychological impact of being incarcerated? Like on a young man, even though you had already had some bumps in the road, you know, like why not just do more of the same?
Well, I knew I had this epiphany, right? So our forefathers came to this country in change.
Yes, they did.
Force. Now, by my own volition, I am giving up my freedom to be in jail, to be in court, because I broke the law, and rightfully so. I deserve to be in jail because I was a habitual offender. I was going to continue to commit crime until I correct myself.
And you had that level of awareness at that age?
Absolutely. It's almost as if God like opened my mind up and got me to start thinking. I began to think.
Well, that goes to one other argument that the male brain doesn't fully develop until it's like 25 years of age.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you were just a dumb, chaotic kid
Right.
until you transitioned into a man.
Right.
And you decided that your decisions were going to be yours to own.
Yeah, and I had some mentors, by the way. It was some guys that I met in prison that were exceptionally smart.
Mm-hmm.
And now I wanted to emulate those type of guys opposed to emulating the drug dealers because it was a pipe dream. I've been told a lie, right? Someone lied to me. I wrote my first book titled The Life I Chose, The Streets Lied to Me. I was lied to. I was told to be a real dude, you had to kill. You had to sell dope. You had to go to prison. Mm-hmm. And so I was fascinated by becoming a real dude.
So listen, me too, and how many other young men are listening to the culture?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, I'm not a fan.
No, I'm not. Neither am I.
The reason I'm not a fan is because we celebrate shit that just will get you locked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We it's urban legend that snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to you. If you come to my neighborhood and rob Miss Johnson out of her washer and dryer, I'm not keeping it real. I'm telling.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason being is because get your ass a job, and because they got millions of jobs out here, and if you can't get a job, then make your own.
Absolutely.
But just look at what I said. The code and how we've lied to ourselves for so many years, and I know that we're still suffering from it today. Because listen, the crack epidemic ran through our communities like no other community, and it did a lot to take every black man out of the home. Right. And how the entitlement programs did a lot against us. Right. Listen, we already got a stain on us because of our skin color. The last thing we need to do is be helping.
Right.
You know, and so when I listen to all rap, we glamorize and glorify the promiscuity and degradation of our women. The degradation, rather, of our women and the drug culture. Biggie used to say, we rapped about selling drugs. This generation raps about using them. Yeah. And I'm tender age, go back to tender age kid. You can't be 15 and 16 experimenting with drugs thinking it's going to end well, because it's not.
It's not. No.
It's not going to end well. You've been on the earth 15 years, come out of diapers, you come out of cartoons to a fast-paced culture that tells you getting high is the way to go. Yeah. Adderall, Ritalin, and Percocet, and Molly's, and everything else, and you're just running from the reality of your own existence. Right. Because that's what it means when you take uppers and downers, is that you don't want to be normal. Right. And I say normal as in you don't want to be uninebriated. Mm-hmm. Man, but listen, that's a whole nother conversation, and that's why I feel like we're not helping ourselves by staying cool with it and all the other stuff that comes with it. And I struggle with that on a real basis, because I wish these rappers tell people, look, man,
they're not going to do that because it's lucrative, right? Ignorance is lucrative. It's very lucrative. They're paid more. Meek Mill said it on a panel. He said the record labels pay us more money to talk about selling dope and killing. And so, again, it all comes down to capitalism. People want to be rich, and when you want to be rich, you'll do anything to be rich.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so when did you get your first diagnosis?
I got my diagnosis while in prison. It was a GED teacher. He was a white guy. And the reason why I always say he's a white guy is because people have this erroneous idea, particularly a lot of blacks coming from our areas, that white people won't help you, right? And so this white guy just had a passion to help young black men. He taught us about our history. He told us about who we were. Wow. And he said, Amir, if you want to learn to read, you need to sit in front of the class. And I sat in front of the class every day in prison. And so,
what kind of class? What kind of
It was
class?
a GED class.
Okay, so you were getting your general education diploma equivalency
Yes.
in prison.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So again, I started on the 3rd grade level. So he knew that. And it took 6 months. I was on the 4th grade level. And so he saw the strides and he said, listen to me, I want to have you screened for dyslexia. And so he had me screened and he said, Amir, I believe that you're dyslexic. I didn't know what dyslexia was. I thought it had a nexus with the name calling that my mother used to call me, dumb, stupid, sit your stupid ass down. I equated it with that, right? But when he gave me a vague description of what it was, I realized now that it wasn't all my fault, right? I have a learning difference, right, that impacted me. It's just like a kid born handicapped or with no arm.
Yeah.
Right? You can't blame yourself.
The cards are stacked against you.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that you can overcome. And so you can't allow just because you're born with one leg to say, you know what, I can never be nothing in life because I'm born with one leg. But you have to process that. That needs to be processed. That comes with having the right parents, having the right teachers, the right mentors to say, listen, we can get you through this.
Yeah.
I didn't have that, unfortunately.
Wow.
And so I had to deal with that myself. But by God's mercy and grace, man, I was able to process that information and begin to start to dream. I got my vision to do what I'm doing right now in prison.
Okay, all right. So listen, were you able to get your GED in prison?
Yes, got my GED. I got my GED. I took the test, I don't know how many times, but I got my GED after I got out of prison. They mailed it to me because I took it about a month before I got ready to leave prison. Took me 4 years.
So something was working. So you got your GED, you got out of prison. Tell me, what was your thoughts now that you are back in society? What was the first step for you to try to acclimate yourself?
Well, the first thing that I did was they gave me $72, I think it was, for my 4 years worth of labor. I came home, I had a pair of shoes, 2 pair of tennis, and some pants. And my mother said, "What are you going to do, Amir?" I said, "Mama, I'm going to Los Angeles. I'm going to be an actor and a model." My brother was living out there. I stayed in New Orleans for 7 days.
I'm glad you got the hell out.
Because I had a vision, right? And I knew my vision wasn't here. I couldn't be an actor here because New Orleans didn't provide that type of atmosphere. So I had to go to Los Angeles, get in school, get some training, et cetera. And that's what I did. I mean, I knew, listen, I'm a hustler, man. So when I got out of juvenile jail, I took an 8-ball of cocaine and turned it into a key. Grinding, flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping it, right? So when I got out of prison, I didn't care about no clothes anymore. I didn't care about impressing women. The only thing I wanted to do is chase my dreams.
I ain't mad with you.
I was focused.
So you was focused. So how did you get to L.A.?
My mother bought me a plane ticket.
Okay, Mom. All right, got your plane ticket.
$97 plane ticket. I stayed with
not no more.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. You can't even get through TSA for $90.
Yeah.
So you're in L.A. now. You're with your brother?
I'm staying with my brother, he and his wife.
How do you get an acting opportunity? Because this is a urban legend story here. Because so many people get the one-way plane tickets, they get out there and they end up washing dishes. So what happened?
So I get out there, man, and I live with my brother, and I get a job valeting cars because I have to be able to audition in the daytime and go to school too, go to acting classes. And so I got into school, auditioning. And it was very tough. It was very tough, man. Got a little efficiency apartment. Had to get out of my brother's and his wife's space because I was in their space. So my brother was able to carry me for a certain amount of time. And being a man, you want your own.
Of course.
And so I did that, bro. And there was a truck that I had gotten, and it had gotten so bad for me, I lost my apartment, and I was sleeping in my Ford Explorer. Get up in the morning, go to the racetrack. I didn't let my brother know because he's I can't put that burden on my brother.
Yeah.
And I grinded out, bro. I would date girls in restaurants just to get food. You know what I mean? But I would not sell dope again. I knew in my mind I was never selling dope again. And lo and behold, Master P.
Go ahead, Percy Miller.
Percy Miller, bro, came out with a clothing line. And I was out there modeling. And I had saved up a couple bucks. I jumped on the plane. I'd have no money to get into the arena. This was when he was playing for this basketball team.
Okay.
Right? It was in Atlanta, Georgia. I flew down to Atlanta. I had a one-way ticket. I said, I got to get in this arena to talk to P, because P had a clothing. I'm like, I want to be his model. I was in shape, six-pack. A year out of prison, right? And so I snuck into the game. I met with a little dude named Bruce. He's dead now. Then I met with Bias. They brought me down to the locker room after P was over, and I told P what I wanted to do. P was like, man, give me your address and your phone number. When I got back to L.A., well, I'm going a little bit too fast, so I told P, I said, P, I don't have any money to get back, and I don't have a place to stay. So P and them, they was just there for the day. He said, listen, I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton. You can stay in my room.
Well, listen to me. There's a statement that if you jump, you will fly.
Yeah, you will fly.
You just showed me that you was going to chase the opportunity until you caught it.
Yeah.
So you're at the Ritz now.
I'm at the Ritz-Carlton, and I can eat what I want because it's on his dime. It's on his dime.
I love it.
P gave me some money to get back to New Orleans. I meant to get back to L.A., and about 5 days later, man, FedEx comes to my door. P wrote me a $10,000 check and said, listen, man, hold on to that until I get my clothing line started. Once he got a clothing line started, he gave me like a $100,000 contract, and that was able to sustain me. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, business is war, and that's what it is when you have to be in the trenches. This is real.
Yeah.
We talking about you didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring.
No fear.
No fear.
No fear. No fear. You know where I got that from? I read a book, Think and Grow Rich, right? And there was a guy who wanted to work with Thomas Edison.
Yeah, right? I remember the story about that. Go ahead and tell me about it.
So this guy packed his bags up, jumped on the train, and went cross country to work with Mr. Edison. And he had no idea if Mr. Edison was going to say yes or no. But he gambled it all, and he started working with Edison. So I'm like, you got to put it all on the line, man.
So, modeling. Tell me about acting. I mean, when did you make the transition from that particular opportunity into actually getting on the screen?
What I did was, so P had a big agency, Endeavor Agency, right? And so P knew I was in school, and I said, P, man, I need an agent, man. I need a real big agent, right? Because I was working with this little small lady. P connected me with his agent at Endeavor, a big agency, and I booked my first movie, The New Guy. It was a lead role. And it's been on that road since then, man.
And it's just been chopping wood ever since.
Just chopping wood, man.
Putting in the reps. And you know what? I got to tell you something. Shout out to Master P, because, he has always been the type of person that will give a person an opportunity.
Yeah.
I know a lot of dudes right now in this city that will absolutely know that you're the best man for the job and won't even give it to you.
Yeah.
And I don't quite understand that. I don't know if it's crab in a barrel. And there's two arguments to the crab in a barrel, and I want to make sure I explain them. One aspect is you're trying to pull the person in front of you down to survive.
Yeah.
And the other argument is you're pulling on that person, pulling them down because you don't necessarily want them to get ahead of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's two arguments to it, and I'm not in love with anyone.
And both are wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even in my business, man, the business that I'm in right now, you're working with black people. I think something is fundamentally wrong with us.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. I have divorced myself from that type of thinking years ago.
Yeah.
In my, when I went to prison, I think it happened when I went to prison, 22 years old. I'm the type of guy, when I go on a movie set, I know what I can do. I've studied. I'm Emmy nominated. I know that I can break a script down. I can break a character down. So my thing is to make other people around me better.
Okay.
It's my job to encourage other people. But something is wrong with us. When black people see other black people that are talented, they despise that. I don't know. I mean, I know we're deviating, but I just wanted to address that.
No. Let me tell you why that's important to me. The reason that's important to me is because I'm really wondering, do you think that the impacts of slavery are still systemic in today's walking around everyday black man right now?
Listen, I don't want to blame everything on slavery, but a lot of people say that. I don't know the psychology behind that, but I'm sure that there is a psychology behind what we do. There's a psychology behind everything, right? And so I would put stock in that. However, man, I have completely divorced myself from that. I want to see black people win. All people win. You know, I'm just not circumscribing my conversation to black people. I want to see all people win. But I think that's Christ in me. That's the Christ that's in me, that I've allowed him to come in, and I see no partiality with you and I.
Yeah.
We're brothers.
Yeah.
Right? And
hear me out. If I have an opportunity for you, I will blow your phone up and say, hey, bro, I got something over here for you that might be worth it.
Yeah.
I literally do that all day long, but I don't know that door swings both ways a lot of times.
It doesn't, man. But see, you are a free Negro. You're free. You're free, man. And so thank God you're free.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you're free, man.
I do.
There's a lot of people that are not free.
And you know what? I think about my staff and the people that have entrusted me with their futures and their current stabilities, and I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
I mean, people are making money with my organization, and I'm happy to see that.
Yeah.
And I want them to make even more money.
Yeah.
And I want them to have even better qualities of life. But hear me out. We all must be equally yoked.
Yeah.
I don't want no negative Nancy's in my organization. I don't want no Debbie Downers in my organization. We can't have nobody in my organization that's not on par, that's not in alignment.
Yeah.
You know, because that stuff is contagious.
It is.
And so we want to be the winning team over here. We got a dynasty we're trying to build over here, right? So I want that.
Right.
Now, you got you some action. You're on TV. You got you some SAG Awards, and I ain't got no SAG Awards, so if you can hook me up, I want one. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So now you're acting and you're doing more. So when did you decide that you wanted to start giving back?
Well, I made some commitments to God when I was in prison, facing 60 years. I want to tell this story. I was facing the 60 years, and I told God in the cell, I was fasting. My grandmother used to say, you got to stand on God's word. She said, baby, you got to just stand on God's word and trust God. I can't do nothing for you, because she couldn't, right? I took the Bible and put it on the floor, and I stood on top of it. I said, God, I'm standing on your word. If you get me out of this prison, I'll help kids.
I know that's right.
I'll do whatever you want me to do. And so I went out to California, and I sort of forgot about that, because you can get caught up into the glitz and the glams, right? And things began to crumble for me. And I knew that was my cue, that I had to get back to New Orleans, man, and hold up the end of my bargain. So I came back and started working with kids in the prison kids in school.
I saw that.
All that stuff is on, it's on Google and on YouTube. All the work that I've done. I go up to Hunts, DCI, Angola, and talking to men about the psychology of incarceration. You know what I mean? Teaching that curriculum, totally free. Just trying to free men, trying to get men to be free. Because if you're waiting on someone to set you free by opening the door for you, that prison door, you'll never be free.
Do me a favor and tag me, because I want to tell them that you can get out here and make money.
Yeah.
You can get out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it like making money is the only thing, because, you got to be able to live in your own head.
Yeah.
And making money is a skill. And I want them to know that, while you're there and you're thinking of ways of a life that you can have when you get out, you can come out of prison and be successful and be good at this American race that we're all running. Yeah. And you can have a life that you can be proud of, know? And I want you to know something. We talked about it earlier. I have never been the type of person that's been proud of my accomplishments, because either A, I didn't feel like I deserved it, or B, I knew what was possible and I hadn't done that yet.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so what is it about the people who have the most that do the most work?
There's a flip side to that coin, right? There are some people that I've worked with in acting school that were way better actors than I am. That I was, right? Or that I am, I would say. And I said to myself, damn, why aren't they working? Like, these people are very, very talented, right? And so if you read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Tipping Point, it talks about like how Bill Gates grew up in an area where the computer was just coming about, and he lived right down the street from a university. So he had that type of access.
Yes.
So it brought to be successful, man. It's you can be successful, right? But what level are you trying to get to, right? Because success to me is not about having a bunch of money. Success to me is just overcoming obstacles. If you don't have any money, you get a job, you become successful, or you open up a business, you're making money. That's success. So I don't equate success, like I like Terrence Howard. I think he's a great actor, right? Terrence Howard I think he was making $300,000 an episode. So what? I don't care. Good for him. If I'm making $20,000 an episode, I'm good.
Okay.
Because I understand it's something in the grass there, right? It's not, everybody don't have access to that.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to create your own business. So that's what I want to do. I want to do my own films, right? And I'm working on that currently. But, it's just about being content. The Bible says godliness with contentment is great gain. That doesn't say that you're supposed to just sit down and say, I don't want anything. No, I believe you should work. I believe a man should work 12 hours a day for himself.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Do you believe that any person in this world can be successful?
To a degree.
Or do you believe that there are roadblocks that will stop certain people in certain areas and that it's just a lie and that the American dream is a lie? Because I had someone push me back and tell me, Elliot, you believe that anybody can do anything, and I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth.
I would have to concur with that gentleman.
Jesus.
I would have to concur. I mean, you can go to a certain level, but then, when you think about investment bankers, right? It's all white boys.
Oh, 100%.
And Jews, right? Yeah. And so you don't think African Americans can do the same job?
I think they can do the same job for sure.
Absolutely.
I think that there are bottlenecks there.
They can do the same job. Listen, man, we are brilliant people. You got some bad brothers up here in the world, man. I was just at Harvard talking to some, at a conference, a dyslexia conference at Harvard, man. I met some young brothers up there in Harvard, at Harvard. I'm like, oh my God, you brilliant.
Yeah.
So many brilliant black men. But will they get the opportunity that some other kid will get?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. So they have to make their own way.
But you know what? Listen, I'm gonna tell you a quick story about this girl who I gave a job. And I told her, hey, listen, this is what we sell. This is who we sell it to. Go get it. And she didn't hear anything I said. She's trying to sell Walmart. She's trying to sell Amazon. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, that's not how it works. You got to start with the mom and pop.
Right.
Well, look at the lunacy by which she lived. She didn't understand the roadblock or the limitation. So you know what they say, every now and then a blind squirrel will get the nut. This chick actually landed some of the whales that she was after.
Yeah.
Because she didn't know any better. Mm-hmm. She knocked on the door and went past every gatekeeper thinking that this was the mission when she was really misunderstanding the mission that I would have initially had given to her.
Yeah.
And so there is something about that,
Yeah, there are some exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions to I don't live that way. Like, I don't live my life saying that some white man can block me and there's somebody out there that's going to stop me. I don't live like that. But what I do know is that if you want to call it nepotism,
yes,
right? I don't call it racism. I say maybe it's nepotism, right? It's a lot of nepotism out there. If you're in a burning house and my child was in there and your child was in there, which child would you grab first?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to grab your child first, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically species preservation. You're going to look out for your own kind first, right?
Yeah.
So I understand.
But hold on, listen to me. Why don't we approach that like a basketball coach looking for the best player? And what I mean by that is rather than I give the job to little Timmy, who I know is dad, I'll give it to little Johnny, who I don't know from a can of paint, but this kid got 10 times the hustle. So in my mind, that's as you say, the free Negro. That's the free Negro philosophy that I have. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'm making a decision, there is no nepotism in it.
Right.
You got to come and chop the wood and put in the reps.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? But you're right. That's not the world we live in.
It's not the world we live in.
Oh my God.
No, it's not the world we live in. No, of course not. It's not the world. I mean, it's nepotism, man. It is what it is. I mean, and sometimes we get like, Tyler Perry talks about when he was doing a deal, he was doing his plays and he did this show. He shot this episode, 10 episodes himself, and it was really good. And he sold it for like so many hundreds of millions of dollars.
Good.
And he said he didn't know because he'd never been in those type of rooms before. So he just blotted out a number and they fell for it, right? That's an exception to the rule. I mean, everybody can't do that. Everybody can't do that. People say, well, you can be the president of the United States of America. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Well, I think that a person can only grow as tall as the room they're in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the room that you need to be in to really
there
expand,
you go.
Right?
There's the rub.
That room that you need to be in, you're going to have to know some people. You're going to have to do certain things. You have to be, it's a lot that goes into getting into that other room. It's a whole lot that goes into getting into that other room, man. So my thing is I want to make my own room. I don't have to beg to get in your room.
Okay.
So So let's say hypothetically. So here's my plan. My plan is to actually I got my own film company, right? I've produced 4 films. So I just want to do my own thing. And if I make, whatever I make, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
I don't care about what you want to offer me if it's going to go against my morals and values.
Now, that's where you are now. But what if I told you that you needed those distribution outlets for the greatest good of your film and the people that that entrust in you?
If it goes against my morals and values.
For sure.
If it goes,
for sure.
But if not, of course I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do business because it's business. But I'm not gonna compromise. I'm not willing to compromise my stance, right? What I believe in.
So tell me about the production company. Tell me everything that it does and how you got to the point to where you started your own band.
Well, there's a guy named Danny Garcia. He used to rap with Cain and Abel. His name is Dan Garcia, and his brother is Garcia as well. They're twins. Dan had told me a long time ago, he said, Amir, listen, man, the only way you're going to get a lead role and be really successful in this business, he said, you got to open up a business and you put yourself in your own movies. That's what he told me. And so Dan is a multimillionaire. He does films, he does real estate, and he's not an actor, he's a producer, director. But no one would hire him, and so he started directing his own film. This guy's probably got 80 films, 6, 7 TV shows, right? Came out of the feds, came out of prison. Just had the balls to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, if you didn't come up with the Harvard lineage, then sometimes the non-traditional route is the one that builds the legs and the lungs. That's the grit.
Yeah.
And so for him to come out of the feds and to be successful today means that he got it in him. And
absolutely.
I tell a lot of young brothers that just change the instrument. I have businesses right now that are selling marijuana products and struggling with the federal government and the banks. The bank don't want to process for them. They don't want you depositing into them because the regulation ain't right and we don't believe in what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I tell business owners, hey, here's a dumbass idea. Just go sell water bottles. Go sell hamburgers. Go sell something else. Because if the entire universe is fighting you in this space, then switch spaces. The hustle engine is the mechanism. The product is the product.
Right.
They don't hear that. You know why? Because they have tunnel vision. For whatever reason, it is what it is. I've already taken the path of least resistance. Give me a finance product. Give me a widget. I'll sell it. And I'm going to sell 1 million widgets and make $1 million and mind my business. Right. Because I've taken that path of least resistance, but at the same time, I'm still using my skills.
Right.
These people will not shift. They won't move, man.
Well, a lot of people want what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they want what they want, and they're fixated on certain things. Only thing I care about is being able to provide for my family, in a legitimate way.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm in the film business, right? Let's say hypothetically all goes worse, right? They counsel me. I know how to sell precious metals. Right? I work for Uptown Recycling. I made $70,000 a year as the manager there. The guy will always love to have me back.
Yeah.
I know how to sell metals.
Yeah.
So that's success to me.
Yeah.
If you're making 70 grand, your lady, your wife, she's making 100 grand, 50 grand. You can live. I'm not concerned about what you think wealth is. I'm not concerned about your idea of success is. I'm not.
So you saying you ain't playing the American game?
I'm not playing the American game. Listen, I'm already rich. I've already won. I won.
Yeah.
I won just by being born in this country. You won.
Yeah.
80% of the people in this world don't have $1,000 in the bank.
Say that again.
80% of the people in this world don't have $1,000 in the bank. I'm way beyond that.
How is that possible?
Well, when you're looking at countries like China that have 1 billion and something people, you look at countries like India that have 1 billion and something people, right? So you're at Africa, right? I mean, you're talking about abject poverty. You're talking about abject poverty. You're talking about people
who just don't have a damn chance.
They just don't have a chance. They're in Africa. My buddy is in Africa now, and he was telling me that this young lady that he was talking to, I think she makes $6 a day. She makes $6 a day. I can't do it. I buy coffee $6 at Starbucks a day. I'm rich to her.
And she can't even understand how you living like that.
And you're rich to her. So, see, we're already rich.
Gotcha.
Right? So I don't need to buy into what you say is rich. I don't need to buy into what Hollywood tells me what rich is or what fame is.
Okay, shifting gears. Tell me a little bit more about your prison pipeline, support services that you're offering so that I can get everybody on board and support you in that.
Yeah, well, one of the things is that the book that I've written called Undiagnosed, the Ugly Side of Dyslexia, that's a powerful book. In that book, I talk about, again, the psychology of incarceration. And that deals with thoughts, actions, and behavior that are associated with self-imposed and state-imposed incarceration. So when you go into a prison system...
Self-imposed versus state-imposed. Please elaborate on that.
Both of them are incarceration. Either it's by self or state.
Gotcha.
So what I mean by that is, I asked a guy, I said, when did you come to prison? A guy might say, man, I've been in here 15 years. I got in prison 2000, blah, 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 on this day. I said, no, that's not the day you got locked up. No, that's the day I got locked up. I'm telling you, man, I got it in my files. I know the day I got locked up. I said, how many of you guys in here believe that was the day he got locked up? Dudes would raise their hand. I said, listen, let me tell you when you got locked up. According to this curriculum, the moment you start thinking about selling dope, that was the moment you got locked up, because thoughts become actions and actions become behavior, right? So that was a self-imposed incarceration. So it's just a few years ago, a few more months, you're going to be physically incarcerated because you're breaking the law.
Boy, you done made the attachment between the thought and reality.
It is because
oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I need you to teach that class.
Yeah.
You've made the connection between as a man thinketh, so is he.
So is he. Right. So Jesus said, if a man looks at a woman with lust, he's already committed to sin. So you've already committed it by your thoughts. That's how powerful thoughts is. That's why you have to control what goes on in your mind. Like a thought can come through your mind, but that doesn't mean that you have to ruminate on it. So every negative thought that comes through my mind, I kick it out. And if you can't control that, those thoughts are going to germinate and they're going to produce a harvest. And you're going to eat off that fruit, whether it's good or bad.
Let me tell you something. I speak to people all day, small business owners who are in kitchens frying chicken, and they literally do not speak the way that you're speaking. They don't think the way that you're thinking. And so there is an argument to everybody not being able to do everything. Okay. And so when I see you and I'm listening to you, and I started reading your book, I'm thinking to myself, how did you get to the point to where you've worked on your thoughts and your mind and your manifestation skills? How did you get to is this something that happens over years, or did you just turn a light on one day and say, hey, listen, I want to do this?
No, it's a process. I mean, it's reading. Everything you need to know is in a book. I've read so many self-help books. You have to read. And you have to realize I was so open to learning because I realized that I was void. So I was so receptive, right? And so the things that I read in books, I read it and I applied it. So it's a lot of guys. I got a buddy named Bill James in California. He reads all these wonderful books, but he never applies it. So you have to apply it.
Wow.
You have to apply it. And from a biblical standpoint, man, I've learned so much because everything is there. Everything is hidden in the Bible. It's there. It is there how we should think. It is there. It's there, but people, they look over it with a minimum of concern. And that's why they're shipwrecked. They're shipwrecked. I am living proof, man, that I don't care if you cannot read nor write, you can still do something with your life. The most powerful thing I tell people every time in prison, the most powerful thing that you have is the power to choose. No one can take it from you.
That's beautiful.
The choice.
Do you know most of us don't feel that way and don't think that way?
I know. Because it's just years of lies and distorted thinking. You know, when I was coming up, I just thought I was stupid. I thought I was dumb. I mean, all of that stuff, I was taking in all that garbage. It's like a person who's eating at Wendy's every day, right? McDonald's, they're going to get fat and sloppy. And that's the way some of our thinking is. Our thinking is just
for sure.
Obese. We have obese thinking. So you got to cut that fat, get that garbage out of your mind.
You know what? I got a weird thought now, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Do you realize that nothing about America as a country is preaching and teaching self-help.
No.
So now I'm beginning. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm sitting here thinking, what about this country says to people: work out, eat good, read content, improve your own life, bootstrap yourself, build a coalition, have a tribe, have friends, have good healthy social relationships. We don't do none of that. Man, we're so freaking divided and controversial right now. I just don't understand what is the goddamn goal.
Here is the goal. The goal is to make people like sheep and cattle. The goal is to let me think for you. You don't need to think. I'm going to give you basketball. I'm going to give you football. I'm going to give you entertainment. Do you not know I haven't had a television in my house in years?
Wow.
I was engaged to a woman. She was a physicist. And I visited her in Atlanta. And when I got to her apartment, there was no TV. I'm like, what? You don't have a TV? She said to me, I don't have time for TV.
I know that feeling.
And that was in 2017. Within that time, I probably had a TV in my house within a year, one time. I don't watch television.
Because you feel like it's just consumption BuzzFeed.
That's it. It's bullshit, man. It's garbage.
Yes.
And we have an insatiable appetite for it. We love people talking about foot. Listen. There's some guys that know players' scores from the beginning to the end, and have not read 2 books. And I think if you want to engage in basketball, that's fine. But you should be studying the dictionary. You should be expanding your knowledge. I think so. But I think what happened to me was so devastating. This is why I'm so extreme. I think I'm a bit extreme, I must say, right? I'm so extreme because I realized that for so many years, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't think independently. And now that I have that ability to do that, I'm just extreme. I think I'm too extreme, to be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is in my book, Business is War. Name me something that you can do with full balance and be extremely successful. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
To be extraordinary, you have to do extraordinary things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so when you tell me that you're extreme, I'm telling you that I'm going to give you your flowers right here and right now, that thought process is revolutionary and is very different. For you to say that everything on the tube is bullshit and that they want you to be sheep and that you see how dyslexia works and that you've been able to come from prison to promise, and that you've been able to be self-taught, and that you are an author, a published author, now that you have had a dyslexia diagnosis is incredible.
Yeah.
This is pre-chat GBT.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's remarkable. And what I'm saying to you, the fact that you can read a script, break it down, and you understand that you can do a production of your own, every single part of it, all the camera angles and lines. Man, let me tell you something. That's not ordinary.
No.
I know people still frying chicken, bro.
Yeah.
And so when I say that to you, listen, you need to take and teach as much as you can to whoever you can get an ear with and help as many as you can, because now I'm beginning to wonder, what is the bigger role for you? Is the biggest role you're going to have behind the camera or in front of the camera?
I think it's going to come behind the camera. Mm-hmm. I think the characters that I've played, and I've worked with Angela, Kathy Bates, Jessica Lange, Forrest Whitaker. I'm working with Tyler right now. This is American Horror Stories right here, but I've worked with a lot of talented people. But I think doing my own story, I'll be able to reach more people with this film project.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's called Undiagnosed: The Ugly Side of Dyslexia. It's my life story.
And I'm just curious, but can I get like a cameo? I mean, I could just drive a car past or something. Just give me, what I'm saying? I just want a SAG award, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'll get you inducted.
So listen, do I have to speak in order to get an award?
You have to speak.
Oh man.
You have to speak. I'll put you in the background.
Let me say something in the crowd.
Okay, yeah. I'll do that for you.
So when do you think that this film is going to come? This going to be this year?
Yeah, this year.
Okay.
Not next year. This year.
Well, good job. And I know that with that particular mindset that you have, that you'll get it done. So how can people support you, your initiatives around dyslexia and your film work? How can they support you?
I think one of the things that, if you want to support me, you can buy my book, Undiagnosed: The Ugly Side of Dyslexia. That's on Amazon. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Amir Baraka, Ameer Baraka. I mean, I'm sure you'll have that on the screen. And if you or any person that you might know need people to come in and talk about dyslexia, I'm that person because I travel around the country doing speaking engagements now. I've been doing that for the past 5 or 6 years, doing conferences and stuff like that, lectures on dyslexia. So next month on the 25th, I'm in Chicago. I have a big conference out in Chicago, so it's very cold there, but I'll be there in Chicago. And you follow me on Instagram, and if you want to be in one of these places, if you're living in Chicago, you see it, you can come out. The public, et cetera. But other than that, man, just support by sharing that book, Undiagnosed, The Ugly Side of Dyslexia.
Listen, I'm going to push it like my life depends on it because I told you I was good in sales, and I'm going to help you with that. So there you have it. Amir Barak, a New Orleans story of prison to promise to practicality. Now he's giving me a masterclass on manifestation, and I want you to know you're going to see a new Elliot as I try some of these tricks because I'm going to put them to actual work. Buy the book, support him, follow him on Instagram and all social media platforms, and whatever you do, protect yourself at all times because business is war.